We got a question from one of our listeners
Hmm?
asking, the Lord Jesus was omnipotent and was the creator of all things. Why then was there any need for him to pray?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It kind of makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like if he was all powerful,
Right.
why would he need to pray at all?
It's almost like, why would you need a flashlight if you are the sun? It's like, what's the point?
Exactly. So how do we even begin to unpack that?
Well, I think the key here is understanding that even though Jesus was divine, he was also fully human.
Okay.
And so as a human, he experienced all of the things that we experience, including, doubt, fear, uncertainty,
Right.
and a need for connection with something greater than himself.
I see. So you're saying that even though he was divine, he still had this human side that needed
Absolutely.
that connection.
Yeah, and I think that's where prayer comes in, because prayer is really about acknowledging that we're not in control, that there's a higher power, a higher authority that we can turn to for guidance and for strength.
So it's not so much about asking for things
Right.
as it is about aligning ourselves with God's will.
Exactly. It's about surrendering to that higher power and saying, not my will, but yours be done.
Okay, so for Jesus, prayer was a way of kind of staying grounded,
Yeah.
staying connected to that source of strength.
Exactly. And, you see this throughout the Gospels. Like, when he's about to choose his disciples, he goes off to pray. When he's facing his own death in the Garden of Gethsemane, he's praying.
Yeah, that's true.
These are like major moments in his life, and he's turning to prayer for guidance and for strength.
And it's interesting because, we as humans, we tend to think that prayer is about getting what we want,
Right.
like a genie in a bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
But what you're saying is that it's really more about aligning ourselves with something much bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think the really powerful thing here is that if Jesus, who was perfect, needed that connection with God through prayer, how much more do we need it?
That's a good point.
We're imperfect, we're broken, we're messy.
And we make mistakes.
Yeah. And so prayer is a way for us to tap into that same source of strength and guidance that Jesus tapped into.
So it's not so much about whether Jesus needed to pray. It's more about what his example of prayer teaches us about our own need for connection with the divine.
Exactly. And it leaves us with a really important question to consider: how might our lives be different if we embrace prayer with the same intentionality and commitment that Jesus did?
Wow. Yeah, that's something for us all to think about. That's some deep stuff right there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for helping us to understand this a little bit better.
My pleasure.
And to all of our listeners out there, keep those questions coming. We love diving deep into these topics with you.